Good evening, everybody, or good morning, depending what time zone you might be in. Once again, we are back here in the Toy Box Disney Infinity, and we are under construction. We're going to pick things up where we left off, which is working on the Chamber of Secrets as part of the ongoing Harry Potter build, and we're going to start in just one moment.
The Falcon has landed.
All right, welcome back, everybody. As we continue the Harry Potter build right here on ANG All Night Gaming. Thanks for joining me. Some of the work, actually, I'm going to take care of this real quick right now because I keep meaning to and I keep forgetting to. And while it's on my mind, I want to get rid of that little crack of light there, which drives me crazy. So in order to do that, we will need this. And I will use my Calhoun block, or disc, I should say. All right, let's go back this way a little bit. We'll set that theme. Just go right down the side here, and that it'll make it so you don't see that crack of daylight through there in the lower right corner. It just kind of ruins the effect. It makes you realize that you're kind of in a... Let me guess. Are those all off? Or just the one? All. Good. There we go. It definitely kind of kills the effect when you don't do that. We got a like already. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Invite you guys to check out the Disney Infinity Discord page. Or server. I'm still learning the technicalities of all that stuff there. But really amazing group of hardcore Infinity fans. So whether you're a creator or just somebody who wants to be around other people that still love this game and still do things with it to this day, good place to check out. It's in the link in the description box down below, so you can find it pretty quickly. You'll also find mine down there, but honestly, mine is so raw right now that don't get excited. There's nothing to see. Nothing to see yet. I mean, at some point in time, hopefully that'll change, but it's not high on my threshold right now. Okay, so that takes care of that. This is being built kind of oddly. I probably should have built it from the bottom up completely. Had I known this was going to be the challenge that it was, or is, then I probably would have done that, but it's okay. I wasn't expecting this. I didn't have it mapped out in my head what this last stage down here was going to be. I just knew it was going to be the big one. And it was going to need the full-size area, so we've got that. So a couple of things I tried off stream because I didn't want to bore people with trial and error, and I can tell you I saved you guys a lot of boredom. What I wanted to do originally, and I started doing, was laying out path creators that went this way and then out, and then at the next one and out. And what I really wanted was randomly to have those not only go on, which that I can do without a problem. Turning them on and off randomly is not an issue. The issue is I only wanted King Candy, which is our villain character here. I only wanted him to travel down those paths if they were on. Problem is you couldn't get that part to happen. It's just going to travel down the path. Now, if the path is off, that means it's going to jump like to here and then do nothing. And nothing will send it back into motion again. So that was not an option. So then I started thinking, okay, instead of having King Candy on the paths, he's going to start firing out some electrical force and stuff, and then you'll have to dodge that. So I still had those paths down where they would randomly work, only they randomly didn't. The paths, again, worked fine. I had to use a replayer originally to get the effect and the dynamic trigger to work together. And then if you were within certain range of the dynamic trigger, which of course would have the glowing effect on it, then you'd be, taken out and go back to your checkpoint. Problem with that is the replayer, every time you'd save it and load it back in, didn't keep these two things attached for some reason. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense to me that it wouldn't, but it didn't. And that led us to what does work. It's not perfect, but it works just as well. And that is by taking a path creator. Yeah, it's a little wonky in looks here, but you won't see that part in the actual gameplay. And then loop it down, put your locator on there, which is connected, as you can see now, to the dynamic trigger and the effect. And as it slowly comes through the floor where you won't see it, once it breaks the surface, now your locator goes into effect, your dynamic trigger goes into effect, and it'll follow pretty much the same path I would have had it going anyway, and then it'll go back underground, and once it gets down to, say, about here, where'd it go? Well, please tell me I got one more. Oh, yeah, here. For this one in particular, rather than restart the whole thing all over again, actually, I probably will. Let's just do that. Because what I should have done is put an extra. Yeah, this will be nothing. This will be nothing. So you'll see firsthand exactly what we do here, and we're going to be doing it for the other ones as well. And again, not what I really wanted it to work as, but when life gives us lemons, and believe me, a lot of people getting some lemons nowadays. And we wanted it to be on a slight forward angle. Go our properties here. We're going to do a couple of things. First, we're going to turn it off. And then we are going to loop it to complete that circle. Okay, and now, the thing we couldn't do a second ago. When the point's reached by the object on the path, we're going to turn the path back off. That's simple enough, right? In the meantime, new logic connection. When this is on, that is on. And now we have an automatic off, so we don't have to worry about that. New path connection for the locator. And there goes that. And then last but not least, oop, wrong button, or wrong item, more accurately. When the path is on, we're going to play loot. What was it under? Electric effects. Radial energy impact. New logic connection. When triggered, that turns that on. So basically, turning the path on turns all that on. And then we should be good. Let's give it a run real quick, shall we? The answer would be no. And we see it starting to come through, so that'll be the first coming out and through. And again, if you're within close proximity of that, it will pretty much be bad news for you. All right, where is my... Let's go ahead and incorporate all this here. So now we have a little better idea on just how this is going to turn out. So as you're trying to get past him, hopefully this is working. What happened? All I did was turn it off. There it goes. Okay, that's weird. And if you get within range of that, then that's what happens to you. So we can have that randomly begin and randomly end. And refresh me. What is this doing here? I know what it's doing up here. Is there another replayer down there? There is. What is this replayer doing? Is that King Candy? That's King Candy. Never mind. No, it's not. Let's see. Already forgot what it is. Yeah, I don't even think this does anything right now. You can get rid of that. I think that was for the locator, which ended up not working. Okay. So we can put him away. Let's see if this thing's working or not. Ooh, that wasn't what I wanted to do at all. Why is it not moving? Did that a moment ago too. Off? On. Now it works. It's weird. It seems like it's taking a couple extra taps on the button. I'm not going to use that anyway. I'll be using a regular button to get it going, but it's still a little odd. And then these guys over here, what y'all doing? Serving the purpose anymore? So as we see, we've got multiple ways of doing the same thing. Originally, I was going with these buttons, and I think I'm going to go back to that as opposed to the path creator, especially since it's been already showing signs of stupid. So let's go here. Get rid of the effect generator link. So, and this one. So it's going to be an on and off button is what we got going on here. Effect generator, when pressed, play looped. Electric effect. And this is going to, I'm sure, be when pressed, stop looping effects. Okay, fair enough. So these are the two buttons we're going to actually use then. I'm just thinking in my head, if I just want to leave all those effects, because they're underground, you won't see them. So I think it's just going to be in... Really, I don't even need the off then. All we need is turn them on. Yeah, that's still all we need, because the randomizer will just go to whichever one of those, and that'll work. Alright, let's continue. New logic connection when pressed. We're going to play looped. Electric effects. Radial energy impact. Grab some locators here. New locator connection. Goes to there. New locator connection. Goes to there. New logic connection. When this is triggered, we're going to turn that on. Go to our properties. We want it not to go to the toy. We want it to go to the locator. Nope, not actor. Sorry. Not actor. Locator. Trigger distance is currently 10. I think I'm going to leave it there. Makes it a little more challenging because it does cover a slightly larger block. 10, generally speaking, is going to be from this locator out probably about that far away on each side, give or take. And if you're new to Infinity and not quite sure what that all means, Dynamic Trigger is a toy that's going to act as a kill switch of sorts because that's what it's hooked up to at this point in time. Or it's what it's about to be hooked up to at this point in time. Because now I have to tell it. But you can do it for anything. Dynamic Trigger says that when a played character gets within whatever distance you decide of that toy, something is going to happen. So it could be triggering a text speech, it could be starting a game, or in this case, it could be taking them out of the game. So we got to do it in this order, though. So the new logic connection says that whenever that space of 10 steps is basically the way I measure it out, is entered by a player any, which means any player, because it's an equal opportunity destroyer. It'll come here and it will defeat said player. So this has now become a death switch, basically. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to do another, and we'll bring this one just slightly above. And again, the idea is that this is going to be, theoretically, coming from King Candy's arms. And these little stop points are important for this one because of a number of reasons. Number one, I do want to make a connected loop here. So we're going to go there, properties. We don't want it active, so we're going to turn it off. We're going to leave this 100 speed. I might go a little. I think I'm going to bump the speeds up. We're going to go 125, I think, on the speed. Because it feels like it's a little slow right now. And we are going to loop it, which connects it, so it makes a complete circle of sorts. It's not a round circle in this case. And we're good at this point. And while I'm here thinking about it, let's go ahead and change this one. Properties again. Go from 100 to 125. Okay, now bounce back up here and grab our locator. And I keep doing that out of force of habit. New path connection. It is a locator, but we're putting it on a path. And that connects that there. So once that path goes live, the locator will automatically attach and it'll start following the path that we just laid out. And that one actually looks pretty smooth. And very close to what I would have had it doing anyway the other way. We're just going to do the same thing 2 more times. This is not what I'm looking for. This is. So again, we'll start down below the surface. And then we're going to go back and do the same exact steps here. First thing we're going to do is change our speed. Get that 125. We're going to turn it off. We are going to loop it. Okay, so that path creator is all set to go there. Now we're going to do that one more time, and then we'll start doing the locators. And bring this one out and across this way. And by using the randomizer, it means we don't know what direction these shots will be fired from. So each time you play, it will be a different challenge because you're never really sure where it's coming from. Once again, we're going to go to properties. Once again, we're going to turn it off. Boost the speed up to 125. And loop it. So right now, everything is off. Right now, everything is ready to go. And the only thing we are missing currently are the locators. So let's bring this up here. You know, in hindsight, I could have just used the one set of logic since I'm getting them all going at once. Oh well. Didn't really think about it. But let me see. No reason not to. Don't need the logic here. Since I already have it down here, I can just as soon add this as a second location. Doesn't need individualized. New locator connection. So now from here, there are just going to be two. One below, which is on the path, and this one. New locator connection. That'll save us some time. A little bit of memory, not much, but a little. Specs location. What just happened? Hold on a minute. Having a moment. New locator connection. That's odd. Why is it not cooperating with... Strange indeed. Let me try something here real quick. New locator connection. I guess that's only going to allow you to do one locator. I didn't realize that. Well, we still have to do some of the logic separately then. I've never... I'm going to actually try something right now because that seems odd to me. I'm more likely to believe that that dynamic trigger is corrupt because it may have been tied to that earlier replayer, which I can tell you that answer right now. New locator connection. That works. Boom. This just in, sports fans. Only one locator per dynamic trigger. Did not know that. Okay, well, we now know that. The more you play, the more you learn. Stand by one moment. Gotta get some air on here, man. It's getting muggy. Okay. So now we've got that. And this is... new locator connection. I thought I had this already connected up here. Now it is. Alright, so that we can share, which I knew that. New locator connection. Okay. And then I think we're good on getting rid of that, right? Served its purpose. New logic connection. Whenever entered by player, any I refer to that as Yoda speech because it's kind of backwards, but you still know what it means. Defeat. Then we go to our properties here. The target is going to be the locator. We'll leave the distance at 10. And I'm thinking I might dumb that down a little bit once I play through it a couple times just to see how egregious it may be. We'll see. Then we bounce over to this side here. Let's do the properties first in this one. Locator. New logic connection whenever entered. By player any. We will defeat. You will be defeated.
Finish him.
Okay, so there's that, there's that, there's that. Dynamic trigger. We should be good to go. New locator connection. I did it again, didn't I? New path connection. Maybe on the last one I'll get it right. Once you have it all done up, then you can kind of butt them up on one another if you want to. It really doesn't make a difference. It won't affect the way it operates. I don't like to do that, though, while I'm in the process. All right, we got those two items linked together. Path connection. Look at that. 4 times the charm. Connect the two. And there we have that. Okay, the majority of this wild-looking wiry logic is almost set. Let's, I just like my stuff neat looking. And if that thing's floating all by itself, it can be a little eh. So now everything's kind of where it belongs. What we need... let's see. New logic connection. When this button is pressed, we're also going to turn that on. When this button is pressed, we're going to turn that on. And this, I believe, is already turned on by the effect generator, but triggered, turns it on. Yes, so that's already good. And again, there's multiple ways of doing it. You can use the button, or you can use another toy. There's no one size fits all. That's a good thing about the logic. You can sit around long enough, and if one way doesn't work to make something happen that you want to happen, if you think it through long enough, chances are there is a way to get it done, just different than you're thinking. And that's where collaboration really, really shows its strength in this community. If I didn't have other people's input on a lot of the builds that I've done, I don't think I would have been as nearly as happy with most of them. Certain things kind of fall into place on their own, and other times you just hit that writer's block kind of thing, and somebody else comes along, looks at it, oh yeah, just do this. Back when Disney Infinity used to have the official YouTube channel, we had Dr. Logic8. Dr. Logic8. And man, that guy was always like, yeah, just use the Logic8. Everything was fixed with the Logic8 for him. And to this day, that is still the toy. I have a much better grasp of it now. But it was the one that just intimidated me. I think it's probably the best way to phrase it. I'm going to countersink these a little extra low to keep them separate. But yet in their own quadrant, so we know that this goes with the one up in here. And then we'll know that this one goes up in here. I really like to try and keep things as close together to their actual point of interaction in the game, just in case something comes up and we need to tweak it or rework it. It's a lot easier to figure out which one is which when they're nearby their actual counterparts. And I do believe thoroughly in hiding all the logic I hate. Maps, I see really nice maps sometimes, and then they got the logic hiding like behind a tree. It's like, no! Make it go away. Nobody should see behind the curtain. I mean, if you're going to jump in a flying character and go down below, that's up to you. But so far as being in the map, I want you immersed in the gameplay, and you should not be distracted by any of this stuff. Alright, I'm going to leave this button for a moment out here because I still haven't set anything off to trigger it yet, and that's kind of going to be necessary. Kind of line up with that one over there. Now we come down to this one. Oh, and there is one more. I want to put another one up on this one, going back and forth with King Candy here, so you obviously can't go through him. He's got to be an automatic kill. All right. New logic connection. Random trigger number 1. We'll turn that on. And let's make sure. I think I did, but let's make sure. I guess I did not. New logic connection. When point is reached, turn it off. New logic connection. When point is reached, turn it off. New logic connection. When point is reached, turn it off. And we already know the other one works because we tested it. Okay, back to here. New logic connection. I'm going to redo it again because I'm not sure if I finished it. Apparently I did. New logic connection. Trigger number 2. And I'll explain what this toy does again for any new people out there. There are still people that are just now being introduced to this game. The only thing I can tell you is it's unfortunate that the servers are done. They're not off, they're done, finished. They're not coming back. Which means that in the past I would have been able to finish this. I could upload it to the community and then you could download it for yourself and play it. Those days are over. Now we do these kind of tutorials so that you can make your own. It doesn't have to be the same exact map, but the logic would work the same on any map. Okay, we go to properties. No, not property, sorry. Logic connection, try again. If it's number 3. Turn that on. And last but not least, if it's Random action number 4. It'll turn this one on. So again, we don't know where the shots are going to come from. We have no idea. What I am thinking is I still want a little more speed on these shots coming off, so that it's got to be a little quicker reaction time. Properties, I'm going to go 75. Turns out to be too chaotic, we can always turn it back down. But considering the amount of path that's covering underneath that's out of gameplay, I think this will keep the action on the board more. Already got that one. Okay. It's easy to get looped around here and lose track of which connection you're on. So this is pretty self-explanatory. What we are doing is changing the speed that the path is going to travel objects along. So that's going to make it go faster the higher the number, lower the lower the number. With a maximum of 300. Now you can also, on top of that, change the speed on the object. So if I want to change the speed of this, I can do that as well, which means that you could theoretically increase the total speed by a multiple of 600 times. So it goes 600 times the normal speed. I cannot think of a time I've ever done that yet, but it's possible. All right, so that's all set to go. Back up here. What I love about the Disney toys is they're pretty self-explanatory just by the visual aid. So you see a couple of dice, and what is that? It's a random outcome. You don't know what the dice are going to show. So the randomizer is a cool toy because with this, if you implement it into your games, it will keep it fresh in the sense that you can use this for so many different things. You can randomly select enemies. You can randomly select boss fights. You can randomly select doors that will or won't open. You name it. I mean, there is absolutely nothing. Anything that's in the game can be randomly selected. So if you want to keep things interesting, if you want to have a, maybe set up 4 different points where enemies are going to attack, but then it'll only choose one of them. So you play the game 4 times, you could have 4 different outcomes as to where they attack, which enemies attack. It is a super cool tool. One that I highly suggest you get comfortable with because it's simple and it makes the game that much more entertaining for everyone, including the developer. And that's the whole thing. When I'm creating these things, I want to try and come up with something that won't be easy for me because I know where everything is and I built it myself. I still want there to be some element of I don't know what's going to happen next. And this is the one thing that can always give you that element. With the possible exception of that, it can also be used, would be the switching rail slides that kind of randomly twist and turn. That's another one. Okay, so what we've now told it is that once the dice are rolled, it's going to randomly select one of those 4 points. We don't know which one. Now we have to have something roll the dice. And we don't want it to just do it once. We want it to do it over and over again. So what I'm going to do is use and you can do a couple of things. A repeater is what I'm going to use. You can use a time delayer and just say every 5 seconds it's going to shoot off another one. They do basically the same thing in this scenario. I'm going to use a repeater. And that's kind of like a metronome. If you're a musician, you'll know what that is. A metronome is that little thing that just goes back and forth, kind of keeping the beat. And you set it for whatever beat you want, up-tempo, low-tempo. Same logic. So the properties here, every 5 seconds it would send the shot off. I'm going to go every 3 because we do want a certain element of chaos in this. And because there is going to be that underground portion of the launching of the missile, so to speak, that's going to take a little bit of time for it to traverse the track. I want to make sure that we keep the action going as much as possible. So we're going with every 3 seconds. Now, new logic connection, whenever it repeats, not when it's turned on, whenever it repeats, which is every 3 seconds, I want it to roll the dice. And it is randomly going to select a path to turn on. That said, it could turn on the same path it was just on, so let's think about that. If this item is on right here, this location, it's traveling up here, it gets up here, it starts to come across. Well, right about here, we're at 3 seconds. And now it's going to, let's say, randomly select to turn this one on again. Well, A, it's already on, so that's fine. But now it's going to come down here and turn off. So that could leave us with like a 2-second gap of nothing happening. And then it maybe does select a new path over here, but now that's another 2 seconds to get up to the top. So we could be looking at up to 4 or 5 seconds, technically, without having any shots fired. So that's why I want to bring that number lower, to decrease the opportunity for that to happen. I want there to be a lot of chaos up here that you've got to fight through to get to the end goal, which will be back here. And I'm going to probably build out a little deeper on this one, I think. There's going to be some sort of a chamber that'll have the Sorcerer's Stone in it. And you'll have to, of course, defeat our bad guy here in order to get that. And how you do that, well, that's coming up here in a moment, too. All right, so we've got the randomizer. We've got the repeater / metronome. All good. Now, we still haven't done anything to make it happen yet. So that's where this is going to start happening. We're going to come down here, go back to my favorite thing in the whole wide world, which is a trigger area. Poof. Where the character will have no choice but to pass through. Once we build up the walls to this, that'll be obvious. New logic connection, whenever it's entered by player any. It will begin the process. It'll turn on the metronome. And then the metronome will then, every 3 seconds, roll the dice, and every 3 seconds a path will be turned on and launch some bad effects. This was to do what again? This turns on all the effect generators and a dynamic trigger. Oh, for those two. Yes. Okay, dynamic trigger. Okay, that's all good. Now my question becomes, what did I have turning these on? And the answer is yeah, there is an action button attachment. Okay. Oh, because of the other end, I got you. The other items turned each other on. Sounds kind of kinky that way, doesn't it? All right. A little confusing where to put this guy, but I'm going to put him in the middle since he controls so many things. Good thing is, once you put it down here and then you hook up to it, now you can clearly see the paths. And if you don't know what these are all about here, it's real simple. The blue is an output, and it shows you the direction it's traveling in. So when I push this button, the outputs will all go to those 4 different items. Now, in this case, the next thing we need is new logic connection whenever it's entered by player any. Aside from turning that stuff off down there, on down there that we just did a moment ago, we also need to press that button. So now you see the light blue. and that is an incoming signal. And again, you can tell by the flow of the electricity incoming versus outgoing. So it can help you troubleshoot things that aren't working properly during your game once you start playing it back and testing it. This is for King Candy alone. I'm going to leave it still here for a little bit. This is now set. I think what I will do is bring it all the way back up here, though, by the trigger area. And it will sync it here, which fortunately has nothing else really going on of any consequence in the area. Same thing. Keep those two items together. Again, you can follow the flow and see where it's going to. If you need to bring it closer to those items, just drag it over and put it down closer to the items, and then you can see exactly what's happening, and it helps you tweak things up a bit. All right, we've cleared the deck. We're going to have a separate room up here. Like when you first come in, you will not see this. There's going to be some sort of magical thing that's going to get you in there. I haven't figured it out yet. My guess is it'll be similar to the Hogwarts train platform for the 9 3/4, where the wall will just whoosh disappear. Replayers are the coolest thing for this game when they work. I cannot stress that part enough, because that is not as often as I would like it to be. Okay, so next we're going to need... How do I want to do this? Let's see. I think I will do is just put another path above. And just a step or two in front. Now you may be saying, what in the world is that for? Well, you will see. That is a rail target, as the name says. We're going to put it right down there. There it goes. Properties here and off. And we're going to go to 200 on the speed. Okay. And then we're going to go to the target itself. Anything that can be attached to a toy box will have a toy box path where you can change settings. So I don't want this to loop. Loop means it goes to the end and then bing, just appears back at the beginning as if by magic. In this case, I don't want that. You can also have it go one way and then stop at the end. You can have it go back and forth, which is the one we're going to choose for this. Okay, what that is a target. Simple and plain. And it's going to work together with this guy over here. New logic connection, that's going to clear it. Okay. So what I want to do in this case is one more button. I do love my buttons. I find it easier to fix things when you have them segmented that way. New logic connection. When this one is pressed, it will play back. By the same token, new logic connection, when it's pressed, it will turn this on. I think I'll move this for the moment to an easier area for me to work with for our testing period. Okay. So what that should now do is have that bullseye moving back and forth just ahead of King Candy, but that'll be the target. We're going to be trying to zap, shoot, or whatever we're using that target. And it'll count. The reason it'll count is we're going to tell it to. There's a counter. So we're going to say that every time, if I can get it to connect. There you are. New logic connection. Anytime it is hit, we will increment the score by 1. Now we go to our properties. The target count means how many times you want it to get hit before the next action happens. In this case, we're going to say 10. I want this to be a decent little battle. Make it 15. Visible display, that's up to you, but I'm going to say leave it on so that you can see how many times you've hit it. Reset on target reached. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Doesn't really matter either way, because once the target is reached, it's going to do something totally different anyway. And now this becomes a new part of the logic. So, new logic connection. When the target is reached, we are going to want King Candy to disappear. So we will clear that out. And then we're also going to want some sort of big special effect, you know, blow up, send off, worthy of a boss battle. So we'll go back and add some more effects. And I will say, we'll go with, let's say 3. And because we're not sure exactly where on the path he'll be when he gets defeated, we'll... what the heck? Let's go 3. So we'll spread these out along the path this way. No matter where he actually gets it, the effect will just completely encompass. So again, we got to connect these things. So you hit the square button to bring up your options here from the logic. The new locator connection. And 1 for each. So that's that. New locator also for this effect. And we want the same locator to get this effect. So all 3 effects will come out of 1 locator. That should give you a pretty good visual. New locator effect again. Same thing, all 3. New locator effect. Missed it. Locator effect. There you are. And I just want to see one thing here. Yeah, I thought so. I missed one. Bam. Okay, so now all 3 of these different effects are going to all come out of each of these. So you'll have 3 effects from 1 locator, which should be a pretty big visual. So here we go. The new logic connection says that when that target hits 15, when it's reached, we want to play once. And then we have all kinds of options here. Let me see what Burst has. I want to go with Dirt Debris. Target is reached. Play once. Surface light, violet energy, flaring, radial blast, teleportation cone, magical vortex. Ooh. What the heck? Magic vortex gets the win. New logic connection once again when target is reached. Okay, so that's going to be that, and hopefully that should be all I need to do with that. Place that one up in the front part of the path. Put this one back in the mid. And we'll trail this one towards the bottom. And again, no matter where he's at on the map at this point, once that is hit 15 times, we should be in good shape. Now, we can test that out right now. One. Okay, wait for it to come back up. 2. 3. 4. Now I'm starting to wish I would have gone with 10. Before I hit this last one, let me get down here so I have a better view of the light show. So that's what it's going to look like. And at the same time, our hero, or our enemy, I should say, our hero, our villain will disappear. What I'm going to do is save this right now. And then we should be able to give it a pretty close to full run, I think, at this point. Just go ahead and hide this logic down below. Little snug. Really looks like a schematic down there with the wiring and everything going crazy. Okay. Drag this out of the way over here for a moment. Okay, let's see. I feel like, refresh me here, everything is hooked up here. The repeater is going to randomize those. It's going to press the button. Well, as Captain Ron once so eloquently put it, anything's going to happen, boss. It's going to happen out there. Well, I don't see a King Candy, though. That's a little disappointing. Let me see something real quick. So this button over here. Boom. Okay, I know why. New logic connection when entered by player any. Press the button. Okay. Which would have added all of that to the mix. So real quickly, let's go ahead and save it one more time. I was doing some work earlier on my Star Wars Battleground Arena, getting that finished up so that I can link it to the Star Wars Hub version 2 and then get rid of it to save and open more room for additional toy box builds. Which I'm going to be doing that with several other ones too. I put together a Season's Greeting box which has links to 4 different, I believe, Christmas themed toy boxes and levels, so that I can then delete those 3 or 4 different ones. All right, let's see what happens. Boom! Oh, he got me. Now, again, we're going to be in a closed room here. We won't be able to fade back as much as I am. Now, when I see that shot going off to the right... Oh, we still haven't put one down for him yet either. I got to put one down for him. Although, I guess technically it doesn't really matter so much. Ooh, got me again. The other thing we're going to have to do is, when we defeat him, is turn off all those effects. We don't want to keep shooting missiles after the bad guy's gone, right? Got me again. Ah, you got me. I saw it coming too. It is the proper amount of chaos. I might want to tweak out the locator just a little bit, or the target rather. We're at 13 now. There's 14. Ooh, where's it going? Where's it going? Boom! And he's gone. We also need to get rid of the target. Might have to put the target on a replayer as well. So the majority of that worked out perfectly fine. I feel like I'd want to do the target on a separate one. All right, let's get to the point here where give me a button. And this button's job is going to solely be new logic connection when pressed. We're going to reset and stop. New logic connection when pressed. Reset and stop. This is not going to be like a replayable thing. Once you beat this, you're going to go in and get the stone and advance in the story mode. Do logic connection. Pressed. Reset and stop. And what will make that happen is the same thing here. When we reach that target of 15, we'll press the button. And I'm actually not going to put another kill switch on the line with King Chaos. I feel like with a target out there, it keeps you moving in the right direction anyway, where you're still in danger, so I don't feel it's necessary. Alright, so when that happens, that'll turn them all off. And then last but not least, we got to figure out what we want to do with this guy. For right now, what we want to do is turn it off. Gonna try this. It's either gonna work or it's not. It should work, but a lot of things should work and then they don't. So realistically, everything logic-wise is already set up for that. So when I do what I'm about to do, it shouldn't be an issue at all. So we're gonna start by recording. It's already all connected to everything, so we're going to see if that's enough. Now, a lot of times, yeah, thank you. A lot of times that will not be enough. He's back, and you see he's no longer connected. So, we'll go back to recording. New logic connection. When hit. Oh, never mind. When hit. Increment by 1. New path connection. Toy box path. Waiting to see where this next flare is going to go through so I don't get D-res. There it goes. Okay, that might work. Okay, a couple of things. First off, we've got down here should be our, yeah. You have to use one of these. I'll show you in a second here. New logic connection when pressed. I always use just one button for all of my replayers. And you have to do that very soon after you start a game. Very, very soon. And what you want to do is connect to every replayer you have in a game. You can use multiple ones if you want to. I just feel it saves logic. And hit the clear button. Or option. What that does, it kind of like jump starting a car. If you don't do that first, it's not going to start. You can tell it to play at this point. It won't play if you haven't hit clear first. Don't know why. I like to think that's a glitch they never got around to fixing. So I always have one button that does all of my replayers just so there's no chance of them not being ready to do their real job when the time comes. And when that time comes, we'll be here. New logic connection. As soon as it's entered by player any. We will play back. And that will put the target, hopefully, on the path. It should. No reason not to. And at the same time, the reason we did that is because new logic connection again, when the target is reached, we want it to clear. I'm feeling good. I think this is going to work. One last thing before I make my next save, and at that point, then we start to move into the final pieces of the logic here, which is not going to be complicated, but it's going to basically guide the player through the map. And that is to make sure that we take care of what we just talked about. You can also use a dynamic trigger. I just like these because there's a visual side to it that when I'm tweaking things and working on them, it's easy for me to go and find exactly where it is and what I need. So the only thing that this thing is going to do is make sure that all of those not locators, but replayers are ready for their moment. And again, I always put this very early on. Now, if this was a standalone level or toy box that has nothing else to do with anything else, then I'd probably put it right over the plate and then you'd spawn in and you're already in. However, because this is going to tie to a series of toy boxes and you will advance to this level, it doesn't read it that way. You have to step into it in order for it to read. So whether or not it's a standalone or not, I still think this is just a good practice right here. New logic connection whenever it is entered by player any. Then we want that button over here. press that. And again, if I do any other replayers, which I might, then they'll still get connected to that button. Okay, everybody's happy. What happened there? I could have sworn that was themed already. Speaking of replayers. Ooh, that might have been the one I deleted. I'll bet you anything. Well, there's one way to find out, right? No, that wouldn't actually tell you that. Yeah, I'm willing to bet money. Because there's only those 2 replayers now, right? Yep, that was a mistake. Easy enough fix. Thanks. Okay. That will only appear. New logic connection when exited by player any. That's when it'll play back. In the meantime, we need to grab this button again down here. New logic connection, whenever that is pressed. Clear for the jump start. Now, there is something else that I needed to get done here as well, with another replayer. So let me slide this one over for just a moment. As we record this one as well, we're going to take one of our scalable barrier blocks. I love these things. They're invisible. I think that'll work. Let's grab that button again before we forget. New logic connection whenever it's pressed. Clear. Okay. Now, here's what we're going to need on that one. New logic connection whenever this is exited by player any. Playback, which means it'll put the barrier block up there because I don't want you going that way yet. First, you have to take the staircase over this way. And I'm going to leave both of these here for the moment as reminders. I could easily turn around and say, as soon as you get out of this, because it'll send you down this way, that it removes the barrier block, but that wouldn't stop a person from just turning around then and going through the barrier block, which I don't want yet. So it'll be once you accomplish whatever the thing is going to be to accomplish in here, which I haven't got there yet, but I'm getting there. We're warming up to the idea. There will be some sort of scroll that you'll need to get from here. And then that will open up the next locator, which will pop up on your mini-map showing you where to head to next. There's going to be a lot of little logic in this thing, but hopefully it'll be fun. All right. Where I thought it put me in a block. I was like, what? Let's get and save this, and then we'll run through this final boss battle one last time for today. Okay. And boom, there it is. Trying to keep an eye out. Ooh, they're coming left end right now. Here's 5. And there will be a wall, like I said, behind me, so I can't be bailing back as far as I am right now. I will have things that are going to force me to be in the game a little bit more intently. And I may end up tweaking this thing just a little bit more because it seems to be behind them more than I'm happy with. I think I might just put it on the same exact path that he's on. Ooh, got nailed. And then just offset it forward by 1 or 2 notches. Last shot. Let's make it count. And now everything should come to an end. And just like that, everything's gone. And then we'll go and get our Sorcerer Stone, and we will save the day. All right. If you guys get any questions, like I said, I've got messages over the months gone by, even in the last few weeks, from parents that just recently got the game and didn't know that there were servers involved that are no longer existing and don't feel like they are capable of building toy boxes for their kids to enjoy. Yeah, you can get the play sets, but once you've played them, how many times do you go back to a play set? I can tell you myself personally, the ones I've played through them once, and that's it. Once in a while, I'll go back and maybe do side missions, but it doesn't have a huge replay value for me personally. This does, because you can always create something new. And that said, just watch. There's so many of these videos out there. There's a guy called Cryptic Fox. He doesn't do any more building, unfortunately, but his channel's still out there. He's still gaming. And go to his playlist. You're going to see his Disney Infinity toy box builds. There's another one called 72 Pringle. We've got Professor Toy Box, and a whole host. There's myself. There's Papa H. And between all of us, if you bounce around, look at some of these different videos and tutorials, you will learn more than you think you can learn, and you'll be able to make some really fun and exciting toy boxes as well. For me, Cryptic Fox was my Yoda. I watched his videos and learned so much from them, and after that, I started fine-tuning it by watching everybody else I just named. And sometimes there's stuff that I was aware of and I've not used it in so long, I forgot about it. So I'll watch some of these other guys, like I mentioned earlier, Professor Toybox or Papa H, and I'll be, oh yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. I haven't used that toy in a long time. I haven't put this into effect in a long time. So that's what's going to happen. All right, thank you everybody for stopping out who checked on the video. Got a like already. Appreciate that. And for the rest of you that are going to catch it on the replay, I understand this is one of my late shows. We do Breakfast Club, and now we do in the late show. We'll be back once again, though, in the near future. I remind you, as I do at the end of each stream, Disney Infinity is the only game where the only limitation is your imagination. We're going to be back with some more of this, and we will once again be doing the Disney Infinity thing, and we will be under construction. Until then, see you real soon.